I rediscovered my passion for the game. In the thick of it, I was suicidal. I just wasn't happy with who I'd become as a human being.
Hi, I'm Sameer Kocha, and for the last 14 years, I have been extremely fortunate to get up close and interview some of the living legends of sport. But today, I'm not here to talk about what happens on the ground. I'm here to share with you a side of your favorite sports personalities that you must have never ever seen before. Welcome to Mind Matters, a unique initiative by Future Generali where we give you a sneak peek into the minds of successful sport personalities, where they get candid about their mental health, battles, challenges, and triumphs over mental health issues that they've suffered. Our guest today became a household name after his stellar performance during the 2007 ICC World T20. From hitting sixes out of the ground to being lightning quick on the field, this man never ceased to impress his fans. But behind that big white smile and a happy-go-lucky personality, this is a story that very few people know about. Our guest today is Robin Uthappa.
Thanks, Sam. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic kind of initiative that this is being done, and I think it's a need of the hour in our societies.
So first, what I want to ask you is, why do you think it is so hard for people to accept or talk about mental health?
Uh, First of all, I think there's a sense of unawareness about it,
Yeah.
and a lack of education about it. I think there's a lot of precedence that's given to physical health and not to mental health.
Yeah.
For me, for instance, when I was going through it, I hadn't a clue for at least a year and a half.
Hmm.
I just knew that I wasn't okay, and I was sad, and I was upset, and I just wanted everything to just end. But I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea that I was possibly going through depression, or
Hmm.
I just felt and knew that I was just extremely sad as a human being.
Do you remember the tour or a particular cricket match or an instant in your life where you just started feeling like, I'm not feeling that 100% mentally and this is just out of my control?
I remember exactly which tournament it was. It was actually in 2009, and I got transferred. That was the first transfer, Mumbai Indians to RCB. Something went off for me. I think even though I was a Bangalore boy, I was extremely loyal to Mumbai Indians. And
Yeah.
suddenly I got in a place of, okay, I don't know how to shift these loyalties, and we don't know what professional cricket is. And I would, catch myself sitting on the windowsill of the Stanton Hotel on the 21st to 22nd floor with my legs dangling out of the window, and just feeling like, I just want to end it all.
Yeah.
And that affected my performances. It affected the way I played the tournament. And it was only a year later when my mom saw that mentally I was deteriorating,
Hmm.
and that's when she, with through the help of another dear friend, family friend of ours, introduced me to my counselor. And it's when I went to the counselor is when everything kind of just changed for me, because it kind of opened up everything for me in such a way where I felt like what I'm going through is extremely normal. It's extremely natural. It happens to anyone.
I want to talk to you about this feeling that you had within that 1 year, this feeling of helplessness. How uncontrollable is it? And what are you really feeling at that point?
You feel hopeless, yeah. Despite everything else on the outside seeming wonderful. In the thick of it, I was suicidal, but on the outside, I was the second highest earning IPL cricketer in those 3 years. I remember there was a period where I was just so lost and so helpless that I left the balcony door open, and I was standing, like I took a run up, and I said, okay, at the count of three, I'm going to run out and just jump. I just want to end it all. But just something within me at that point said, not just yet, Robin. It didn't tell me stop. It didn't tell me don't. It just said wait.
Yeah.
And so because it said wait, it felt like, there might be something there, gave me a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things I did at that point in time was, I think I took ownership of the fact that something was really wrong,
Yeah.
and I accepted it to myself.
My God, I can't even imagine the turmoil you must have been going through at that point, Robbie. Not only that
Yeah.
you had to perform at the highest level, that pressure also must have been adding on for yourself. Then to be away from India, away from the team that you've
Yeah.
been playing for. So all these culminated into like a series and sequence of events that must have been really hard to fathom.
A lot of those things kind of took over me so much so that at the height of my depression, I found my progress in cricket and sometimes in the failure of my teammates. It's shameful to be acknowledging this, but for me, and I've made peace with myself. I'm able to talk about this. I reached a point in 2012, 2011 where I either want to, end everything or give up the game and move to another part of the world and restart life from scratch.
What was your mindset like at that point, and why were you saying these things?
Because I just wasn't happy with who I'd become as a human being, Sam. At that point, the only person who knew about this was my counselor and my best friend,
Yeah.
who happened to become my wife after a little while. It was her advice. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in my life. And she said, "Can you defer your decision for 6 months?" So I said, "Why?" Like, "Why do you play cricket?" Like, I said, "Because I love the game." And she said, "Okay, for the next 6 months, just play cricket simply because you love the game."
Mm.
I said, "Yeah, that seems like the easiest thing to do at the moment."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and she said, "If there's one thing you could change about yourself, what would that be?" So at that point, at the peak of my depression, I weighed almost 100 kilos, and I was 23, 24 at that point. And I looked like I was 40. So because I was eating and drinking anything. So I said, "I'd love to lose weight." She said, "I'll put you on to my nutritionist, and let's go to him and see how we can address that." I just slowly, very slowly started following the plan.
Yeah.
And I just decided that I'm going to play cricket simply for the love of the game.
Correct.
So I started doing that in Jan. By mid-Feb, the Vijay Hazare, the domestic one-day tournament got over. I'd scored 200s and 350s, and our team had done well. We qualified to the knockouts of the tournament. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And by the time the tournament got over, I'd lost about 5 or 6 kilos,
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. I rediscovered my passion for the game. So that's where the process began. I had that one person to fall back on
Yeah.
and trust completely and kind of just find like just the light to the next step. Eventually, I think when you're going through the darkest periods of your life, you want to have light just for that one step where you know where you're going to land tomorrow. What do you want to do now?
Yeah.
If you have that, then you can figure the next step after that. You don't need to figure all 20 steps at the beginning.
Absolutely, man. With what you achieved in 2012, just kept getting better and better. It moved to
Correct.
2014, where you weren't amidst the top 5 scorers. You were the top scorer.
Correct. Yeah.
You had that orange cap on your head. How
Yeah.
was that feeling?
See, one of the most important things I kind of discovered in that period, like in the Batman movie, there's a dialogue, and why do we fall?
Yeah.
So that we can get up again, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it gave me an understanding that there's an immense amount of strength when I go below the surface level within myself,
Yeah.
right? And everyone's got that. And there's growth for everyone.
Yeah.
And I understood that growth never happens inside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
It always happens outside of the comfort zone. My experiences have taught me that when you go through pain and hardship, that means there's some growth related to that.
And there's no stigma and there's no harm to reach
Absolutely
out and
not.
do it. So many people, Robin, have this whole thing that, yeah, if I go and tell the world that I have a mental problem, I'll be looked at as a weak person. That should also go away, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like you go to a physician for a common cold, you go to a counselor for any mental health issue.
Yeah.
One of the most wonderful things that a counselor does is gets you out of your own way and empowers you to figure out solutions. They don't offer solutions. So when you finish with a counselor, you come out on the other side an empowered human being.
Yeah.
And you feel like even if you go through something, you have the strength within yourself to address it.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about it, the more we take ownership about it, the more we actually normalize it.
So, Robbie, do you think insurance should cover mental health?
Oh, absolutely. I think that would just change the whole ball game completely. And I think it's fantastic that that there's an initiative like this that's taking place. And I think more people should follow, more companies should follow in the same vein. Like I said at the beginning, it's the need of the hour. Yeah, mental health has to be normalized, and this would be one massive step towards that in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. And we're going to take one massive step in the direction of fun. Be prepared to get entertained. It is the game segment time. Time for Mind Matters. Time out with Robin Uthappa. All right, some simple questions will be thrown your way. You have to give your answers and make them quick and snappy and make them fun. What is your comfort food to de-stress?
Oh, I'd have to say cookies and brownies, man.
Oh, nice. Nice. I like that too. Well done. Okay, 3 small things that make you happy.
My family, cricket,
Yeah.
and food.
Lovely. Reaching out, do you prefer texting or do you prefer calling?
Calling.
Calling is
I'm
always
old school, bro.
Old school, man. Way to go, brother. Mind matters because.
Without the mind, we won't be able to do anything. Yeah, and our mind is what drives us. It's the engine that drives us.
Which emoticon do you use the most?
The hugging emoji.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
I think everyone deserves one. I use that as often as possible.
So I'm sending you a hug, a virtual hug right now, straight over in the hotel room.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. It's a tight one, huh? Now, what the world needs now is
a lot of love and a lot of empathy.
Perfect. And the last question is, what's the best mental health advice you've ever received from anyone?
That it's absolutely okay to feel not okay.
Fantastic. And it's absolutely a delight to be chatting with you all over again. I have to thank you for being here. Thank you for this wonderful chat, my dear friend.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. I'm hoping to see you soon in person and hopefully give you a big tight hug, man.
See you, my brother. Thank you. That was Robin Uthappa and his journey to improve his mental health. It's okay not to be okay, but don't shy away from talking about it. It's the only way we can end the stigma around it. You may be working in a corporate job, you could be a student, housewife, or an entrepreneur, but if you aren't feeling 100%, you should seek help. Now, there are toll-free helplines, apps on the phone, there are counselors, doctors who are there waiting to help you get better. And then there are brands like Future Generali that are at the forefront of creating awareness about mental health. They have a specially curated section on their websites which has content and resources around understanding signs of mental health illnesses like depression, anxiety, insomnia, etc. Also resources that can help one manage and deal with them. Future Generali has launched the Health Total Insurance Plan that covers your mental and physical health because mental illness can weigh in on both your emotional and financial facets. You can log on to general.futuregenerali.in/mindmatters or click on the link in the description to know more. Stay tuned for our next episode on Future Generali Mind Matters.